o'clock. Can I have approval of the agenda?
Just on the approval, under new business, just for information, just want to get an update on our economic development manager.
Where's the new business?
I'm adding it as new business for future information. I'm asking for information at our next meeting, instead of calling a
Okay,
notice
so you can do
motion.
that under introduction, new business.
You wanna do it under new business? Okay.
Okay, can I have approval of the agenda? Moved by Kevin, second by Mitchell, okay. Any declarations of conflict of interest?
No.
Okay, one thing I do like to let everybody know when I take on a chair of a new committee, everybody speak freely. If there's anything about, the more information we have, the better, so anybody in the room, if you feel there's something you can add to a conversation, feel free to speak freely, okay? Business arising from the minutes.
I do. If you go down to new business, I ask for notice of motion.
There's a business arising from the minutes in the package.
Yeah, that's new business, page 4.
You wanna go to page 4?
Yes, from your previous minutes.
Okay. What is
So under there, I asked an update on the Confederation of the Center of the Arts. I know you called me about it,
it? Yes.
but I, again, talking freely and openly at our meeting. Under our terms of references, strategies to attract business opportunities and growth, to advise policy and programs to attract sport and entertainment, to advise and make recommendations in capital and operational budget within the jurisdiction, to advise on policies, programs, and events that ensure the growth and development of the arts and culture sector in Charlottetown. The Confederation Centre is very important, just like the Arts Guild in the cultural sector of the city of Charlottetown. That's why I wanted to get information about where are we going forward with the renovation or restoration.
My understanding, you're looking for information on the construction and the renovation.
But also how will the redesign play into our promotion of cultural and artistic events for the city of Charlottetown. As you know, there's an invite out for this afternoon to do a tour at 4 o'clock, I believe, of the site. So I don't know if you received that, but if it's not there, we'll get it out to you.
Yeah, but I think, are you looking for an update on the renovations and where they are?
And the renovations
Okay, so
and what,
that- nobody in here has anything to do with the renovations.
no,
That's part of
renovations and how it will apply to promoting, enhancing cultural events for the city of Charlottetown and for the island.
Okay, so you're talking about after the renovations are done, how it
What-
impacts culture and arts.
So that's what I was trying to get, and I don't know if there was any information compiled
Okay.
by administration, but if you have any, please forward it on to the members of council, or members of the committee. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, any other business arising from the minutes? Seeing none, we'll move into reports, discussions. I believe there's a presentation from the Guild. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Thanks, Mr.
Floor is
Chair.
yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Your Worship. Thanks, councillors. So good to be here. I'm actually terribly nervous, but it's because I'm so excited. My name is Chloe Goodyear. I'm the interim executive director of the Guild, and I'm here to
What's your
reintroduce
name?
Chloe Goodyear.
Chloe, okay.
Yes, and I have something to say about you needing to ask for clarification in maybe everything I say during this presentation because of my accent. I'm sorry. I'm here to reintroduce the Guild to the City of Charlottetown as a place of joy, creativity, connection and life, and a great contributor to the maintenance of a healthy, diverse and inclusive community. I thank you very much for this opportunity. And I apologise in advance, you just got in ahead of me, for my accent and the fact that there are pretty much no R's in any words I say. Thank you. If you can understand them, we might have a better chance. I brought a translator with me, the Guild's finance manager, Nick McLeod. He can answer questions.
I know, Nick.
Yeah, a little while too.
Long way,
There
Nick.
you go. Well, he can fix my accent, but he can also discuss the finer points of finance, both current and with previous EDs. Please do ask me to slow down or repeat phrases that my accent renders unclear, but you can also bring me questions about knives, crocodiles and art. I'm here for all of that. Okay, so the PEI Arts Guild Incorporated, known as the Guild, is a not-for-profit and registered charity with a provincial mandate to own and operate the Guild. The Theatre, the Art Gallery, providing a venue for new and established visual and performing artists in PEI, and also to provide ancillary supporting services to island artists. I know you've heard that before, So what does it mean? What actually is the Guild? The Guild is a gift. It is an artist's dream. It is a community dream anywhere in the world. An affordable, welcoming space in which to create, build, rehearse, make and perform at any stage of one's career, and we have it in Charlottetown. As you know, realisation of the mandate has been challenged by a combination of events in recent years, but due to the hard work of the board and staff and great community support, the storm is passing and we are presented with an opportunity to build anew with a sense of clarity and optimism. The Guild is focused on serving the island's arts community, expanding our understanding of who that is now and who that's becoming, and stepping up to meet the extraordinary opportunity to offer this service from a cultural hub in the centre of our capital city. This year, we've refreshed the approach to fulfilling our mandate. The stabilisation of an affordable, accessible DIY venue for island artists and creatives, which doubles as a flexible multi-use space to attract commercial rental and other appropriate programs to subsidise core activity. We offer studio space, gallery space, meeting rooms and maintenance of the black box for creation, rehearsal and presentation of work, and the development of partnerships and programs that will meet all uses and all users, as well as deliver new revenue streams. Our long-term tenants, that's as opposed to our short-term tenants who are just people who rent the space for an hour a day a week, now include Music PEI, Pride PEI, Lens Make a Picture, Stoic Land Use and Floever Lab, the French Cultural Federation, who are around the back, David Rashid's studio at the Guild, and as of September, This Town is Small. We know that the City of Charlottetown requires tangible indicators that the Guild has taken significant action to create positive change and ensure that municipal funds are invested soundly and lead to great outcomes for the community. And we are so pleased to report 10 significant cultural and financial actions taken in this financial year. Nick is particularly pleased. He just couldn't get off that slide fast enough. Number one, this year, in addition to the funding received from the city and the province for operations, we have applied for about $2.5 million in funding. That's a mixture of project funding and infrastructure funding.
And when was that requested?
We just popped the largest infrastructure funding application in October.
And you got 132 so far?
Yes, that's been for theatre renovations. Yeah.
Okay.
Number two is Canada Council funding. We had a bid earlier this year for $26,000 in Canada Council funding. If it had been successful, it would have been the first steps in starting to get Canada Council core funding, which we know is essential to the sustainability of the Guild. That's been a really kind of a hard get. But we have 3 more projects, Circus Dance and Cranky's Puppetry, prepared for submission, which we think have a great chance of being accepted. They're very different projects to what we've been presenting before. They're very different projects for the island. And there's great diversity in the partnerships, including international artists and companies and domestic and local BIPOC and Francophone artists. Number 3, we've addressed concerns regarding community safety and welcome through the development of community working groups who have contributed to a newly drafted and published child safety policy and code of conduct, and our anti-racism policy is up next. Number 4, we've removed the seating banks in the black box and returned it to a fully flexible multi-use space, and in doing so we've welcomed back many groups including Charlottetown Burlesque and the Old Blood Secret Beach all ages shows.
Just so I understand, so you said, did you say you removed the black box?
No, the seating
In the black
banks.
box.
Do you remember in the black box there were seating banks that were popped in for Anne and Gilbert? So just
Three
those.
or four
Yeah,
levels.
so the tiers have come out, so it's just a big room now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're halfway through renovations for that. But that's allowed shows like this one to come back. This is Secret Beach and Old Blood shows collaborate to present all ages shows.
And the idea would have been, does it give you more room?
It gives us more room, but it just gives us a lot more flexibility in the way that the space can be used. For example, commercial hires for conferences would have been, and meetings would have been quite difficult before because it was just a very narrow area of floor space.
So you can set up seating the way you want.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So Chloe, it goes back to what it was originally set up to be, it was a black box.
Yes, that is what I have heard,
And the
yes.
3 of us were on council back in 2002 when it was converted from a bank into the Guild. So that's what it was. Then one of the CEOs added the seating,
Yes,
which limited to what it could do.
Yes, and I understand that was really appropriate for the activity that was happening at the time.
Yeah.
But I think like any, art adapts, so arts organisations have to adapt as well, so that's where we are now, yeah. Okay, there's one more thing I wanted to say about that. So one of the things also that has changed still to this point is that we're also mitigating, or actually in some cases reducing risk altogether by not being producers of shows anymore. We're not financially producing shows. We're providing the opportunity for other creatives who are already taking that risk. So we're filling a gap there. We have created and published a sliding experimental scale of access rates for artist, community, non-profit and commercial rentals. So that's just a little sample. They're all different rates. It's been met with excellent feedback and resulted in an increase in use of the Guild. It's aligned with the city's retain and sustain pillar in the cultural policy because it allows the city to provide availability of affordable spaces for artistic innovation, authentic expression and creativity. From April the 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2024, the Guild hosted 152 total presentations, but this financial year we've already hosted over 200 with over 80 unique users. And we still have 4 months to go, so we think that's going pretty well. Some of the events hosted at the Guild this year included the Wild Threads Literary Festival, Pride PEI's Volunteer Hub, the Charlottetown Film Festival and the Ireland Fringe Festival Hub. Number 6, we've reduced risk and increased revenue by leasing the Hilda Warner Gallery to This Town is Small, and this also met the requirements of a space needs study that organisation had conducted. This also allows a lot more support of artists than the Guild would have been able to accommodate at this stage in our operations. Number 7, we've created a draft strategic overview as a foundation from which board and community focus groups can begin discussions toward the strategic plan. There are 13 focus groups who'll come together to commence discussions in December. We are really looking forward to hearing the results of those conversations and we anticipate a first draft of the plan by June 2025. Some of the proposed key initiatives for conversational starting points include the establishment of local, domestic and international artist residencies, taking all actions to return the Guild to a fully accessible cultural hub, and our next point, number 8. This is a pet project for me, so I'm super excited to tell you about it. We've identified emerging patterns of use to establish that most artists and creatives are using the Guild after hours, which leaves the building pretty unoccupied apart from our long-term tenants before 6 p.m. There are a lot of reasons for that, but it's mostly because amateur and emerging artists have to have day jobs. So when they want to access the space, it's after hours and on weekends. So we want to turn this problem into an opportunity and we've created a business plan and subsequent $167,000 funding ask through the PEI Alliance for Wellbeing for a summer holiday circus workshop program and a year-round circus training program for women and children. These programs will create activity during an underutilised time in the building, elevate an underrepresented art form on the island and introduce a significant revenue stream into the Guild, between $50,000 and $80,000 each quarter. It will create new jobs in the creative industries and have a significant and measurable impact on the mental health of and resilience of the program's initial primary beneficiaries, some 1,800 women and children island-wide, including those from First Nations backgrounds. A study, and this is one of many, has shown that there's a $1 to $7 return on investment related to children's attendance, even in short-term circus workshops, in terms of their later mental health. This project meets the city's vision of creativity on every corner through arts residencies, increases community engagement within the arts and serves as a puzzle piece for the city as a cultural connector, and retain and sustain through the training of professional development of creatives, as well as year-round and off-season creative initiatives. Number 9, this one comes with a big sigh of relief. We've just completed negotiations with IATSE, that's the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, regarding unionised staff at the Guild to a satisfactory outcome for all parties. That's after a couple of years of negotiations. And perhaps most importantly, because this is the base of everything, we've restored a collegial and constructive tone to community, board and staff relationships, exemplified in the open house held in early July, where Irish Mythen and the East Pointers played as surprise guests, and at the recent Board of Directors Public Accountability meeting. Your Worship, I'd like to thank you particularly for making the time to attend both of those events. It means a lot and it demonstrates good faith to the community who are part of the Guild as well.
Good meeting.
Yeah, great. We're confident the spirit of goodwill will continue for board and staff as we explore formal and informal mechanisms for further community engagement. And we're really grateful to everybody who keeps showing up at these meetings to guide conversation and offer constructive criticism. I knew I'd need a drink of water at this point, so I've just put a small break in. And also I thought we could all do with just like 2 seconds of sunshine. That's the beach I grew up on. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions?
I've got more to say.
Good?
Ooh. Okay, how are you going with the accent, the speed?
Great.
Perfect. Great, okay. All right. Now, that was a lot of good news, and I don't have bad news, but I have some thrilling challenges. The Guild's operating budget is currently $364,718. Now, based on our user data, in which we had less events and less visitation last year, this year at this current investment, if we don't take any operating costs at all into account, the city-supported arts and culture experiences for users at the Guild at a rate of $265 per event, or $4.78 per person who were part of it. I think that this is actually really incredible. This is per event. So if you imagine that you're funding the experience of either the user or that group or the user, it's pretty impressive. That's excluding the cost of any building, rentals, staffing, equipment, or any other operational costs. The return on investment will be much greater this year because we are presenting more and more people are attending, and we anticipate for all future years as activity increases. People are consuming art, they're listening to the radio, they're seeing comedy, they're watching TV, they're reading books and magazines. They're going to get it from somewhere, and we really want to make sure that they're getting it from island creators. So we're really grateful to play a part in that. Biotech has labs, sports has gyms and fields, and we have the Guild to develop artists before they hit the big leagues. The building alone, when it has walls on it, costs over $100,000 to run, and the next most significant expense is staff wages. But presently, the Guild is operated by a beyond lean full-time staff of 2. That's an executive director and an operations manager for a total of about 80 hours. The skeleton staff is supplemented by contractors and casuals, but even as we go forward and we become more financially and culturally stable, we are likely to remain lean. That's the job of a not-for-profit. But operating at this stage, such a critical juncture with inadequate staffing, it means that the urgent and immediate tasks required to stabilise us and to diversify revenue streams like successful funding applications, developing the projects on which to base them, community connection, sponsorship and audience development strategies, and strategic partnerships, they are all competing with the daily operations of the Guild. And that's being renewed after a period of change. And if I can give you an example, it's that Nick is actually not on staff. Nick is a contractor. Brian is away on vacation at the moment. It's not even vacation, it's time off in lieu from the extraordinary amount of overtime that he worked last year and early this year. We're getting calls about replacing the paper towels in the washrooms. There's just a lot to be done, you know, from the bottom to the top, and just not quite enough people to do it. Okay, I think now that I've mentioned paper towels, that's probably enough about that. And I'll share another challenge with you, but this time this is actually a really thrilling one. We're planning to embark on an ambitious new 2-year infrastructure project. In October, as we mentioned, we submitted a funding request of just under $2 million from a total budget of about $2.5 million to the Federal Housing and Infrastructure Green and Inclusive Community Buildings Program. That's the same one that KidFed Centre is under, as you know. This is in order to respond to the results of a building and HVAC study that was undertaken earlier this year. The purpose of the grant is to arrest the deterioration of the 60-year-old building and also respond to issues of climate and sustainability. And I think this is one of the most important things. It's also to make it accessible. Currently, the Guild is only accessible in the gallery and the theatre level and the foyer. You can't get into the upstairs offices. So what we've done is get quotes in to have the elevator at the front of the building and go all the way up to what would become a rooftop area. Did you have a question?
No, I knew it had an elevator. I just went, and I thought it went all the way up, but it just goes to the second floor, does it?
The one at the back of the building was constantly breaking, and it broke for the last time earlier this year. Yeah, so
It has to be
currently,
replaced, yeah. Okay.
yes, yep. Yeah, if it's successful, that's 80% of the entire budget, and 5 partners, ourselves included, would look to contribute the remainder of the funds over the 2-year project. We're next week hoping to announce the Build the Guild campaign to start attracting those funds and publicise all of these activities. We think that the renovation aligns with the city's goal to enhance Charlottetown as a place for visitors and residents. The 4th floor elevator access will eventually lead to a rooftop bar, sculpture garden, and meeting place with views over Charlottetown and the water. The project also meets the priority for the city to green its infrastructure. Following the project, the reduction in climate impact sits at over 45%. So when we did the webinar for the GICB fund, they were advising people to look for, at least 10% in response to the climate responsiveness. So we think that we've got a pretty good chance of this with 47%. Is what it actually is. This figure was established during the reporting process conducted by Coles Associates, and the upgrades also include technology that enhance security while also reducing staffing requirements and increasing community access to the building. Okay, our experiments in consultation over the past 5 months have helped us to clarify the partnerships that we'll look for and the activities that we might undertake to guide, fund and activate the Guild. Now, following such a period of unrest, we think it's right that we're in experimentation mode. We're listening to the community that the Guild serves and creating a solid base from which to move forward. This is just a couple of things that are coming up in the November into December programming. There are also 3 community choirs, improv group rehearsals, film screenings, meetings, art events and community gatherings. It is our intention that the Guild be recognised as PEI's home base for the creation and presentation of art at all levels. And with an awareness of the incredible creative talent that we have here, we plan to ensure that all aspects of the facilities and activities kindle the creative spark, whether we're instigating it, housing it, inviting it in or making it. We know that we're a force for good in the cultural landscape of the island, and we're very proud to play a part in providing art for all islanders. We are taking extraordinary action to secure the future of the Guild, and we're so grateful for the city's support.
Anybody got any questions on the report? All good?
No constraint? Okay. Chloe,
Yes.
I did go to that meeting on the
Yes.
last week, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was called the Public Accountability Meeting.
that's right.
I think the report the next day was that there was a surplus in your budget, that's what I was told. Is that mentioned? I don't remember budget being talked
Where
about.
was that reported?
It was a day after, a couple of days after that, and I don't know if it was CBC that announced it, but I said, no, there was no surplus. If there was, I didn't hear it. But the meeting itself, I think, brought out a lot of great ideas. But the ideas of trying to get money is not just struggling with your organization. Any arts organization anywhere in the country is struggling for that money or those funds. So have you reached out to corporate sponsors? Is that part of the, let's say,
That will definitely be part of the plan.
BMO,
Yeah.
RBC?
Well, RBC, there is actually a fund available. It became available again in September that we're hoping to apply for, either for the circus school or toward the renovations. We're just trying to work out what might make the more attractive project with, the way that they outline what they'd like to see. One thing that is, if I can just reiterate again, so I've been in the role 5 months. 5 months at the end of this month, I think. And it has been extraordinarily challenging to stay on the kind of strategic bent for the organisation because there's just been so much operational turmoil underneath it. It doesn't feel chaotic, it just feels like there's so much necessary activity. So yes, sponsorship is absolutely on our list of things to look at. It's just about being able to line everything up at the right time.
And the former CEO, I think, Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, or Wayne, did she not ask for additional funding and did we provide it? Because that was to just take her over the hump last year?
Yeah, that was last year.
So do you have a number in mind for the 24-25 or 25-26 budget year.
So your worship, just so you're aware, Chloe will be coming back to present to the finance committee
Okay.
in a couple of weeks, so that's where they'll focus in on their budget request. I don't believe that they're prepared to answer today because they're still doing their homework around it, but they will present where you'll be present at a meeting with the more detailed ask.
And the reason I asked, Mr. Chair, because the current operating budget's 364,000 or 365,000. 100,000 is going into the building and the other is salaries and benefits. But if you're trying to get money from the Green Inclusive Infrastructure Fund, it's a pretty tight program and it's all green based. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yes.
Solar, terminal like insulated windows, it's very, very tight. And there are a lot of applications in for it.
Yes, I think the reason that we feel, I don't want to say confident, because that's very cocky. The reason that we feel that we're appropriate in the ask is because when we got the building and HVAC study back from Coles Associates, pretty much every item that was listed in this, it was a three-stage work plan of, this is immediate, this could wait a year or two, this could wait several years. So much of what is in there is appropriate for renewal under the GICB fund, because it is all about improving the
Carbon footprint.
yeah. Yes, thank you. That is the term I was looking for before. Yes.
So today's presentation is just to bring us up to speed on what your plans are. There's no ask here today. This
There's
is
no
the-
ask today. I think really what I wanted to do was to make it clear that the guild is great. Like, we're not saying that we're financially in a wonderful position, but I know, like, my own impression of the guild before I took the job was there's a lot going on, there's a strange vibe about it, everything is very hard, we're not sure what the direction is. I don't think that's the case now, and I wanted to have the opportunity to come and talk to you about that. There's a great vibe down there. There's a lot of use happening. We think it's the right time for some of the opportunities that we're getting and some of the projects that we can create. So it was mostly about that.
And Mr. Chair, if I could say, I've met Chloe several times. Her energy, you're very inspiring in what you want to do with that facility. And I'm very, very hopeful that the city will be a big backer, supporter of your efforts, your dreams to make that the place it should be, an arts and cultural centre for all of Charlottetown and the island.
Thank you. That's very kind.
It'll probably come down to the ask too.
I know that's
Anyway, thank you very much, Chloe, for coming in and giving the
Oh,
presentation.
Mr. Chair, can I just ask one question?
Yep.
I think it's an important one in my mind at least. Chloe, can you just talk just a little bit about, it's easier to grasp for programming and infrastructure dollars, but talk about the challenges around securing operational dollars.
That's obvious.
Well, I
lifting the
mean,
arts.
that is the challenge. There's not even challenges around it. It's just the pure competition in trying to look for a core funding. And the fact that with Canada Council, which is really our option for core funding, there's a series of steps that you have to take. So you have to be either receiving project funding first, and then you have to have several projects funded before you can even start to apply for core funding. So I know there has been some chat in the past where maybe the rhetoric has been, why isn't the Guild trying to get Canada Council core funding? Actually we are. But we do feel pretty good about these new asks. It's something quite different. It's not just a project, it's a project with a business behind it, which we're really hoping they'll see the merits in.
I think we put, 60,000 a year into it now?
Well,
With the
there's the
operation.
property tax forgiveness, we have that.
55K, I believe, annually, plus there was an incremental amount given last year.
Yes.
And then there's the tax forgiveness or tax,
Property tax forgiveness, yeah.
That was just a 1 year, wasn't it?
It was a 1 year at the time with the understanding there would be an elevated ask coming back once they kind of got their house in order.
Right, okay.
As soon as you got the additional
There's
25,
been a
they'll add that on
we've
addition.
continually have supported the Guild year after year through our budget.
Yes.
That was an addition, okay. But anyway, it's good to see the new plan come together.
You can see that we've really had the architects in working on that one.
So tell me this, has the third floor been used before?
Yeah, the third floor is actually in use now. That's where the office space is.
Was it used before though?
Oh, yes. Yeah, actually there was some work done. What year was that, Nick?
In 2019, there was a big infrastructure project to do the third floor and turn it into more of a community space, so there's a multi-purpose room up there, there's a new kitchen, things like that, yeah.
And it's not so much for revenue generating.
The office
Oh.
rent does, I mean, it is a part of our budget, and that's rent that we rely on, but it is subsidized for the arts. So it's not rack rate rent that you would pay for office space, especially downtown, it's got a nice view, yeah,
All right.
Square footage is a little cheaper.
a little bit. Thank you to the city of Charlottetown for that.
Thanks again, Chloe and
Okay.
Nick, for coming in, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Worship. Thanks, everybody.
Do you wanna grab something now, or you wanna? Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, William. See ya.
So, before I move on to the next report, I just want to say, that they were here, so I didn't want to say it in front of them. But, very pleased to be chairing this committee. Very pleased with the members that are on it. You have a lot of experience. Kevin's chaired it before. Mitchell has a lot of experience in here. I have a lot of experience in years. I've always felt that the staff we have that are attracting events and running the events are probably top-notch in the country. So the committee members and staff that's here are very strong. One, I'm pretty excited to be chairing this committee. Two, I think that we want to have some conversations as well as the staff's been doing. It'd be nice to look into even bring in more high-level events and maybe more, we'll talk about concerts and stuff like that we haven't come to the city and what are our constraints there and stuff like that. So again, just want to point that out. Probably got the best admin staff, the best staff here.
Looking for a raise today, big
So
dog.
anyway, no, really pleased, and like I say, Mitchell and Kevin as members of the committee, good strong members, so really looking forward to moving this to the future and looking forward to getting to know Mike better. So, appreciate that. If I knew how to pronounce this next one, I would.
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca. Wayne, that report's up to you.
Mhm.
I don't know, Mitchell, have you read the report on the ayahuasca?
I was here for the presentation.
And-
Yeah, I read it.
So it's fairly clear and I do agree, but you wanna give a little summary on it, Wayne?
So thank you, Mr. Chair. The reports in your package, I just remind the committee that back on September 19th, that Mr. Jamie Larkin presented a request of the city corporation to signify their support of ayahuasca ceremonies, the potential for other elements associated with that, potentially a world forum, will become a tourism product. We presented to the committee looking for their support. And Mr. Larkin had also previously met with Charlottetown Police Services Department. He also had met with myself. So the committee did indicate that they understood there was some benefits from a tourism perspective associated possibly with this particular project, and left staff to go away and look at the product and legalities around that. We have interacted several times with a number of people in this space who would be in the know and have some comment to offer with respect to its legalities. We spoke with Charlottetown Police Department, we spoke with the provincial government, with both tourism PEI from a tourism perspective as well as health PEI. And after doing that scan, we've come to I should also, mention that we've also spoke to our legal counsel on this, who offered a legal opinion as well. And after we conducted that scan, we've come to realize that there is some additional legalities that need to be brought to the committee's attention. The drug itself, I refer to it as a drug, has properties that are essentially illegal in Canada. If you look under Schedule 3 of the Substance Controlled Act in Canada, there's legislation that it is an offense to possess, seek, obtain, import, or traffic that product under the Schedule 3 substance within Canada. And given the classification of DMT, which is the component of ayahuasca, it poses a potential risk or liability risks to the city corporation if we signaled our support, and we could be held liable in a variety of situations from a health perspective. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, Wayne, knowing that, did the police not know that when they sent them to economic development for a presentation that it was an illegal drug in Canada?
We sought further information from police. I think it's fair to say that they probably had some background information at the time, but they wanted to know more with the city staff from a tourism perspective and how it might fit with our strategy. Because the next point I would mention is the group, although legal in Canada, illegal, can seek special permission under a religious position on that, and there's been a number of them that have been endorsed.
But it sounds to me from when I read through this, that one, it's an illegal substance. Two, it has been given in some circumstances, but would that not be the province and not the municipality that would have to give that permission?
It would be the federal government. It's a federal, it falls under federal jurisdiction, but the reason that it's here is they were seeking endorsement of city council as a destination to hold ayahuasca ceremonies and potentially create a tourism sector.
Within our city.
Yeah, in our city, in the boundary of our city, that is correct.
We still couldn't give jurisdiction for that DMT to be used, even if.
Well, they're not, they weren't seeking permission to use it, they were positioned to endorse their ceremonies and it as a tourism product. The federal government holds the jurisdiction over whether it's approved or not for a group, but they could apply under religious status and be given approval. There's several other cases in Canada where that has happened. However, you know, in seeking our opinion and talking to others, and this is just some common sense, government should never involve itself within a religious aspect of such an entity. So if they chose to do that, they would be doing it on their own outside of the boundary of the city corporation. So given all of those details, it's our recommendation that we do not issue a formal declaration of support at this point in time. We do have a legal opinion from our solicitors, and we would make a recommendation from here on to council that we not issue a declaration of support.
Okay, and do you need a motion on that to move forward to council?
Pretty sure, yeah.
I'll move it.
Do you wanna move it?
Yes.
Second? Okay, move it to seconder. Thank you very much for that information, Wayne, appreciate that. CHC Tax Incentive Report, this is the Bio Alliance, looking for the 10-year taxation.
Correct.
You wanna speak on that, Wayne?
Yep. So, again, the report is in your package. Back on April the 9th, council supported entering into a 5-year tax incentive agreement with CADC in conjunction with the PI Bio Alliance. The application for this file had to come from CADC as they are the owner and landlord of the infrastructure in the Bioscience Commons, and that is how it's positioned within the tax incentive policy. Staff were sent back to ongoing communications with the PI Bio Alliance, who after realizing the decision that we had made, have filed, for the better sake, let's call it an appeal. And they came before this committee, with the previous committee, I should say, and made an appeal presentation, which their presentation is attached to your report.
So Wayne, just before you go further, so there's already an agreement with them for 5 years.
We approved agreement, but they didn't sign it.
They didn't sign, so they haven't getting any tax break.
No.
Okay, and how long ago was this?
This was back on April the 9th, 2024.
It's in the package.
So really what they're looking for is double, like they were approved, it looked like we were gonna approve 180 and they're looking for 360, so they're looking for that spread over.
They're looking for a 10-year agreement
Okay.
with the municipality, but that would be stepping outside of policy. So staff have been working on the file over the past while. We engaged a neutral consultant who specializes in economic development to review the file and make a recommendation back to the corporation. And that recommendation is in your package today. I believe you should be familiar with that. We would look, to do a graduated process. It would be a 10-year agreement. We would maintain the existing formula, which commences with a 90% contribution and ends with a 30% contribution. There are metrics that we would recommend based on the consultant's recommendation, and this is this is a scan from across the country that's being used with respect to how we should proceed. We would set junctures in it that would go back and look at milestones and performance of the actual agreement. If you look on page 3 of the report, you will see in years 3, 5, and 8, some of the milestones that you could look at are things like job creation, investment attraction, and strength of the secretarial growth, and we would ensure that that is implemented into the agreement itself, should this move forward to the finance committee, then eventually on to council.
So have the BioAlliance looked at it, Wayne, the recommendations? Has this been brought to BioAlliance yet?
No?
Okay.
It would have to, we wouldn't go to them until we have a ruling on it from the corporation. But
No, but just to see if it's something that they would agree to, if council agreed to it.
this is what,
This is basically what
this is
they've
what we
asked
asked for.
Okay.
The only difference in this is it's 10 years. The percentages, I'm not sure where they sit in percentages. I don't think they ever mentioned to us where they envision that, but we're using the existing policy for the 90% to start and end on the 30% percentage. The only real difference is that we're putting some protections in here at various years to do an evaluation to ensure that they're still performing as they forecast it to perform. It also shows good diligence around the use of taxpayers' dollars and, in
Sure.
Yeah.
Wayne, when we had this discussion last year again, when they come in and we agree with the 5-year thing, and you stated that it's policy, and then all of a sudden they didn't like it, so they went and then appealed it, as I think it was your words, and then this other company got involved too and thinks it's a good idea to go 10 years. But why should we change it for one and not change it for everybody? And are they sort of holding us over a barrel there?
I think what council.
I really don't, I'm just trying to understand it.
Yeah, so it's not another company, it's a consultant who we engage, but it's a good question, Counselor. What I would say is, you need to take back and really look at the request that's coming before you. The bioscience sector is highly valuable to the city corporation in terms of the impact it creates in jobs in our community and opportunities for vibrancy of the destination. If you look across the country and took a scan like the consultant did, you will see that other jurisdictions are really working hard with tax incentives and other incentives to attract these types of businesses. We have the bioscience sector now recently opening their new incubator, and they'll soon be opening their new accelerator, so there's a lot of work happening there. If you look at some of our FDI, foreign direct investment missions, they're focused around bioscience would be the leading component of that. So given its impact on the economy in Charlottetown, the consultant has recommended that we consider their request outside of policy. We would also need to go back to our existing tax incentive policy to ensure that we tidy that up for moving forward in the future. So the reason why we're giving consideration to this is given the value of the sector. We wouldn't recommend that every group that comes forward get a similar opportunity. You need to review each one individually. And if you had the opportunity to read the report, you would note in there how they made their validation of this recommendation.
And I understand that, yeah, and it's great, but what, as you just stated too, what stops a different company by saying, well, you did it for these people, like why not do it for us? We're just trying to
Anyone can do it, but all I'm saying is
sort of put the fires up for the start.
anyone can come forward, correct, with a request, you're absolutely right. That's why we did our due diligence and sought a neutral opinion or recommendation on this particular file. And their decision was made on best practices across the country.
And have we, Wayne, I like this actually, the performance metrics that would be in the agreement. Have we done that before?
This would be the first time that we've actually implemented that stage, that process.
I do like that.
And we probably should be recommending it moving forward.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions?
So just on that, Mr. Chair, the performance matrix, who will oversee the performance matrix? Do we hire a consultant to do that?
No,
Or is it done internally?
good question. I think that our team has the ability to do that internally.
Oh.
And that performance metrics will be, as I indicated, implemented right into the agreement. So it'll be pretty clear what it is and how the metric will actually happen. We are in the process of tidying up, you know, how we're currently measuring KPIs and ROIs from a performance perspective within economic development, so some of that would flow into this process as well, and I believe that we have the ability to do that internally.
So Wayne, I'm just looking through the background. Where is the recommendation from you or the department? Is it
The recommendation
Page
is, it's on the first page of the report, your worship, if you look at the top. So the recommendation, to be clear, is that council support entering into an extended 10-year agreement with CADC, BioAlliance, for a temporary graduate suspension of municipal taxes with modified terms, including clear performance metrics and regular review of the mechanism. Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, as Wayne mentioned, some of the missions that you've already been on, the focus is, or has been, and I'm
Top
sure,
focus.
is the biotech industry. And it's probably most appropriate for us because we don't have the manufacturing capabilities like St. Thomas or any small town in Ontario. So this is an industry that would be quite in line with going forward. The best example I always use Regis Duffy's company, Diagnostic Chemicals. It's grown into a company called BioVector with 500, 600 employees.
It's impressive, yeah.
And
Yeah, I think it's all good news. I mean, we're lucky to have it here. I'm just wondering, and it goes back to Kevin's point, I mean, it's so, our policies right now is 5 years. So
The current-
we're looking to opt into that for 10, and we used to do 10.
We used to do 10.
And I'm just wondering, is it better to move off and do the one off for 10? Or do we wanna look at 5 years, but having the same percentages as 10-year? Give this, in other words, the same funding over 5 years.
Yeah,
it's a large, Mr. Chair, that'd
It's
be
a larger budget for us.
that's quite an impact on the budget.
It
That's
is.
why it's 10
Yeah,
years.
it's 180,000.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is. To my knowledge, we've only ever done one 10-year agreement in the past that I'm aware of under
It's
tax
hotel?
incentive. No, it's, and it actually was an extension on the 5 years approved and then 5 additional years. It
Kane's
is-
building?
No, in the industrial park. Cindy, do you have the name of the company?
Island Garden, Island.
Don't
bigger,
say
Island
it.
Abbey.
bigger.
It's now Figure, right?
Yeah, that was
Exactly.
Eddie Jewell, now it's Alex Smith,
Yeah,
okay.
so the committee originally approved 5 years, and then they come back after the 5th year, there was an extension for
Yeah.
another 5 years.
So do we wanna do that?
I do, I'll move it.
No, do we, you wanna move to 10 years, I'm asking Wayne, do we wanna do 5? with the cost of
We've
expense
already
or-
approved 5, like the 5 is done, we've already approved it.
Yeah, but they didn't sign off on it.
No, but it's kind of been through council, it's passed by resolution, there's an existing
Mm-hmm.
agreement.
So what happens, Wayne, when they won't sign it?
You don't
They
get
just
the
don't
money.
sign, they don't get money.
No, I guess.
So is it sort of dead in water, like, with them?
No, what he's saying is council has already approved the 5-year,
Right.
so, but they come back, my understanding, they didn't like that, they wanted a 10-year.
Mhm.
So, where is it here, after 5? So the numbers do move. So are you suggesting that we do an extension of 5? Or are you suggesting that we change it, it goes back to council for the 10 years, do it over again?
What we're recommending today would trump the original approval.
Yep.
We would just move that agreement out of the way and create a new one for 10 years, if there was approval at council.
Is that gotta go to finance too, Wayne?
It goes to finance and then to council.
So Wayne, just gonna ask off the top of my head, like what would be the difference between doing an agreement and doing 5 years with an extension, with a possible further extension of 5 years if they met the metrics? They wanna see the 10 for sure?
This committee and council can, at the end of the day, the decision is yours.
Yeah.
We're just bringing the appeal forward,
Yeah.
which they presented to the committee. I don't wanna be repetitive here, but we secured a neutral body to rule on that and look what best practices are across the country, and that's how we ended up with our recommendation.
And I'm okay with it, I'm trying to close that door where you did it for them, now I want it 10 years.
But it's a good question, so what I mentioned earlier is that we are going to be fine tuning the existing tax incentive policy, bringing it back with amendments to this committee
Okay.
that will have protections and guides in there and how we evaluate positions. The reason why this one was given, I would say, elevated review is giving the power of this sector on our city.
Yeah.
So it is a
So it's a
unique, it is
one-off.
a very unique request.
If I could say, Mr. Chair, it's a unique request, but there could be more, because if you're out there promoting Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island as a hub for the biotech industry, that's better for all of us, because that brings in more revenue at all different levels, corporate, personal income tax, consumption tax, property tax. That's why I'll move it.
Yeah.
I'll move the resolution. Move it on to
Finance.
finance.
Okay.
But
Any
it's
other
gotta be
questions?
rescinded first, right?
That would need to be
The
done.
5-year one.
I think it needs to be rescinded on the council floor.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
It wouldn't need to be rescinded, I checked with Tracy on this. So it would just, the wording of it would be whereas the bioscience was given a 5-year, we're extending it to 10 years,
Okay.
essentially, so there would be no need to
Numbers-
rescind.
Numbers for changing it.
Yeah, the reason for that is because the former resolution that was passed in April included
It's
the
another
second
item,
one
right.
for HLG property management for
It is
the arts
HLG.
hotel, so the rescinding it would be complicated, so we're just
Right.
essentially passing another.
It's, that was the unique one too, right?
Yeah.
HIG.
HIG, pardon me.
Okay. We have a mover, do we have a seconder?
No, move.
Okay. Introduction to new business.
Just wanna ask that the
Oh, yes, you go ahead, sir.
Economic Development Officer Manager just give us a good report the next meeting on how successful his missions have been to Europe, Canada. Have you been down to South America?
No South America.
Oh,
You
not
tried,
yet.
but we didn't go.
That's it.
Again, thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
everybody. It's great to chair in this committee and looking forward to working with all of you. So, can I have a move to adjourn?
Move.
Move, second.